Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, lay off a third of the team and expect us to work harder. We will see about that. If that's the way you're going to be, just leave. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Lay off a third of the team and expect us to work harder. We will see about that. So this happened sometime in the 2010s somewhere in the UK. That's all I'm revealing. I worked for a medium-sized PLC in a small team that worked with the sales department getting quotes. I had previously worked in another team in a different department in the same company as well. This also includes elements of malicious compliance. I'll post this there as well. So to set the scene, the company had recently had some issues with regulators and senior management were either oblivious to the damage they were doing or didn't care. They were trying to save costs, but going about it all the wrong way. So my team consists of 16 members and a manager. We were fairly busy and often helped out on other teams as well, and they would in turn help us. This is important for later. So we are all called into a meeting without warning and told that due to declining work tickets they were laying 2 of us off. They did say 2 people were safe, the manager and his sidekick. They made us reapply for our jobs, including doing a test, following the letter of the law on redundancy, which had nothing to do with our roles. It also became apparent during the process that the company flat out lied or at the very minimum manipulated the data used to come up with their conclusion of falling ticket numbers. They dropped by 13 from year 1 to year 3, bear in mind it was a total of several thousand tickets a year. In the end the company carried on and 2 team members were removed and made redundant, one of whom took a golden handshake, the other sued the company for various things, not really worthy of mention here, and won. After the dust settled it also became apparent manager secured his sidekick's position, despite him being the worst member of the team in terms of work done and work quality. So in the weeks after the entire team were too busy to help other teams who then stopped helping us, so a huge backlog of tickets also built up. We also got threatened with disciplinary proceedings if our backlog didn't come down, but was also refused any overtime. During the process we had also been admonished for skipping steps and getting quotes, steps that often took a significant amount of time, and served no purpose, so me and 2 others remaining, not including sidekick, who had his nose so far up manager's rear ended and came out of his mouth, decided to do everything by the book, down to every last bullet point. This made the backlog of work even worse, but they couldn't say anything. One week we had another meeting with HR, the sales director, and our manager to discuss the issues. We all calmly said we are sorry, but we have to follow the guidelines and rules laid down, and this is as fast as we can work. We were also asked to start helping out the other teams again, as we should be team players. Again we said we are sorry, but we can't. Our workload is too high and it's also not in our contracts that we have to do other teams' work. This went on for several months and management still refused to believe we were overworked. When it was time for holidays we realized they hadn't changed the amount of people allowed off from 3. So we all booked holidays, they both went abroad, and I decided to visit family the other end of the UK. Of course when manager realized, a week before, he went nuts and another meeting with HR was called. We all calmly said sorry, but we checked the rules for our team and 3 people out of 4, manager could do what he likes, can be off at any one time. And again stood our ground and all went on leave for 2 weeks each. This caused even more chaos at work, as you can imagine. The sales director after this hatched a plan to get the Indian teams, we had offices in India and other offshore places, to be trained up by us, and to help us. However they demanded we fly out to spend weeks there training them. Again we all refused, as it's not in our contracts to be trainers, or to have to work abroad. They ignored the fact I didn't have a passport at this point. So poor old manager and his sidekick traveled out and trained them for weeks. Eventually both stayed for over 2 months and failed to train them. We would send low-effort tickets to them, and they would screw it up, and we simply said sorry, to fix this we need to do it again. So after 6 months they gave that idea up entirely. After around a year or so of this, I'm being deliberately vague on timing so please don't ask about it, we all decided to all seek other employment, having found we all could not trust the company or manager anymore. And we all found roles elsewhere within a week of each other, so all handed our 4-week notices, again to the letter of our employment contracts, and were due to all leave on the same day. Now the female member of the team, who was a very learned person, and she revealed in all our contracts any documentation we create is ours, and we can do with it how we wish when we leave. So we hatch a plan. In the final week we are there, we move all our digital stuff to one location. including all my manuals and cheat sheets for my previous team. They both did the same with their previous positions within the company. On our final day we bring in our own external drives, and with IT's help download and removed all documentation and deleted the copies on the company systems. We all said our goodbyes and at the end of the day quite happily told our manager what we had done. He exploded and demanded it back, and we calmly tell him not according to the letter of our contracts. This, waving the drives at him, is ours and we choose to remove it with us. We were later told by friends who remained that the sales director had a fit because now no one was doing quotes for him. Gladly we all have had great new places and keep in touch. If that's the way you're going to be, just leave. Backstory: I used to work at a small manufacturing plant in the shipping department up until a few months ago. Now the thing about this plant is that due to some well-intentioned mishandling by the previous owner, the plant is currently owned by the bank. Because of that, the plant manager doesn't really know too much about the day-to-day running of the plant. He mostly just makes sure the plant isn't losing the bank any money until a buyer can be found. Thankfully there was a good floor manager and a good shipping manager to cover the shortcomings. Then the plant closes down for a bit. When we reopen we learn that the floor manager is retiring immediately and won't be returning. But that means the plant manager is now the floor manager as well. Additionally, all other managers and office staff are now work from home. So on top of floor manager, the plant manager now needs to handle any issues that arise that are too pressing to contact someone off-site. The structure of the shipping department is this. There's the shipping manager, who is now WFH. There is the shipping supervisor, who comes in early and leaves around 3-ish. Then there is me, who came in around 10 and left when the last truck to be loaded came. Meaning that after 3-ish I am the de facto head of shipping. Onto the MC. At some point I could see the writing on the wall. Layoffs were coming. Very possibly the whole plant closing. Needing something more stable, I found another job. Now I hadn't given my 2 weeks yet because it wasn't set in stone yet. May as well have been, but until I have a piece of paper or email that says I have the job, I don't have the job. I had one coworker on the production floor who liked to push my buttons. I'm typically not the type of person whose buttons you want to push. I'm not particularly imposing, but I've been told by guys twice my size that when I get mad I'm scary. Anyways, on this particular day, he decides that the best way to push said buttons would be to walk into the forklift lane as I am passing to grab product to ship. Multiple times I'm forced to slam on the brakes, causing me to spill a couple loads. Eventually I explode. I don't remember what was said, but I went off on this dude. Eventually the plant manager comes over trying to quell the situation. As I explain the situation to him, I say something to the effect of I could have killed him. I still might. To which the plant manager responded with, if you're going to be like that, just go. I looked at the clock and noticed it was close to 4, meaning if I left, no one was there to load the trucks. And while the physical act of loading a truck is simple enough, the system to record everything was not. And it wasn't something you could do later either. It need to be recorded at the time of shipment. Naturally I looked back to the plant manager and just blunkly replied with an okay. I grabbed my things and left. The second I got to my car I called my supervisor. He and I are really cool with each other. You could even say we're friends. He also hates the coworker in question and is not too fond of the plant manager. I told him what was going on and he told me that he was off the clock and doesn't deal with work shit from home. Basically telling me he was with me without saying it. The shipping manager was the next call. Now she is one of the nicest women I have ever met. And she will defend her crew to the death. And apparently, unbeknownst to me, she had started vacation the day prior, and would also not be dealing with work shit. Normally she would absolutely deal with this even on vacation. Now both of them knew I was leaving and that I didn't give a damn about the repercussions. The plant manager didn't. I don't know exactly what happened from there that day, but I do know that of the 12 trucks scheduled to ship, only 3 did, and that's because they showed up before I left. It's also worth noting that in our line of product, if something that was our fault causes the customer's production to shut down for any amount of time, our HE company gets fined. Contractually, not legally. In the end that coworker never did mess with me again, and the plant manager ended up being a lot nicer to me too. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.